Today, Cambodian authorities unexpectedly released a key opposition leader, but confined him still to home. But the move has come well after tainted elections that cemented Prime Minister Hun Sen in power, with critics denouncing the decay of Cambodia's democracy. Now, a special investigation by PM has found the country's ruling Cambodian People's Party is extending its influence into Australia by recruiting students who travel here to study. The investigation reveals a coordinated drive by top-ranking Cambodian officials who are seeking support from educated young Cambodians. Their campaign is run through a network of youth groups in Australia which watch over dissenting students. Cambodian Australians have been speaking to our reporter Eleanor Whitehead. They've been saying it's time for tougher measures.
Before he left Cambodia, this master's student was summoned to a meeting by its government where he was offered a job and money.
They said that it's government money from the Prime Minister to buy some materials. They give like $500 each. And they told us that when they join CPP, they can get more work when they go back to Cambodia.
We'll call him David Chan to protect his identity. He fears retribution for speaking out. David Chan was coming to Australia on a scholarship, and Hun Sen's Cambodian People's Party was trying to win his loyalty.
They give us the list of CPP in Sydney, and that I can contact them when I arrive here. They would like to offer me like accommodation and some jobs if I want in Sydney or New South Wales.
An investigation by PM found the Cambodian regime is systematically recruiting students enrolled here, often on Australian scholarships. Students say that some of their peers are linked to the government before they travel, but Hong Lim, a member of Victoria's Parliament, argues that many join later by coercion because they need jobs or fear for their families.
For our taxpayer money, for Australian money to be subject to this kind of abuse, to this kind of intimidation, it's just incredible. This is Australia. No other government should be allowed to operate like that.
A spokesperson for the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade said scholarships are awarded for academic competence and potential contribution to development outcomes. But critics argue the recruitment of students who holds them shores up the CPP's future on Australian dollars. Colleen Key is a former CPP insider turned critic of the regime. She used to connect members of the government to Cambodians living in Australia and says the process starts in Cambodia.
They would organise dinners for students before they went out to other countries. So dinners in Cambodia, and then they would get to know them and to know their background.
The policy is orchestrated from the top. About 2/3 of Cambodia's population is under the age of 30, and the government wants its support. Colleen Key named Hun Manet as leader of the Cambodian youth. He's the eldest son and likely heir of the strongman Prime Minister Hun Sen.
There's a centralised oversight, and it's presided over by Hun Manet, who's the central leader. And then there's several people who look after each area from Cambodia.
Students told PM that Hun Manet personally attended recruitment drives in Cambodia, and he's visited Australia several times. In the run-up to Cambodia's widely criticised July election, he openly campaigned for the CPP in Sydney.
We created a force. In the beginning we had Australia, then New Zealand. We started with one person, then two, and then three. Finally, today we have thousands, which is a strong force. This is a success.
Hun Manet has been named in a list of potential individuals targeted by future US sanctions. The US has already placed visa restrictions and asset freezes on several other members of Hun Sen's regime, but officials can still travel freely to Australia. Students are visited by senior members of the military, and assistance also comes from some Cambodians living within Australia. Critics claim that Cambodia's ambassador in Canberra, Khoi Keong, has broken with diplomatic tradition and is supporting the recruitment drive. He's been pictured in political uniform.
We call on the government and the parliament to condemn the activities of the Cambodian ambassador.
That's from a letter from a Cambodian action group to politicians last week. It complains the CPP's recruitment campaign supports authoritarianism in Australia, Some Cambodians living here now say they feel unsafe. For criticising the regime online, David Chan was threatened by a leading member of its student network.
He said that I had to shut up if I still continue. I can be in trouble and I cannot stay in Australia. They said that they have all the money, they can do whatever they want. They try to make me afraid to stop speaking up.
Then his family started receiving warnings in Cambodia.
Police went to my house to pick my father to police station and question him about me. And then my brother also get a threatening message on his Facebook. That guy asked my brother to tell me to stop to talk about politics. If I still continue, he can be killed in Cambodia.
David Chan has now had to apply for asylum in Australia.
Many people warn me. They say that my life is at risk, and many CPP supporters are waiting for me. No, I cannot return. If I go now, I will be arrested and killed, I think, because I talk against Hun Sen.
Hong Lim and other prominent members of the Australian-Cambodian community have also received death threats from sources which are still unknown.
I think the Australian government have given this regime enough money to be able to be in the position to tell them, look, enough is enough. It's not acceptable.
He argues that the government has ignored Cambodia's long arm of influence because it's relying on Cambodia to take refugees from an offshore detention centre in Nauru. The two countries struck a deal in 2014. At the time, Australia pledged an extra $50 million to Cambodia, but only 3 of the resettled refugees have stayed there permanently. DFAT denies the deal is a driver of Australia's approach towards Cambodia and says all options are now under review, while Australia urges Cambodia to allow free political debate. But Hong Lim says Australia should no longer accept any political interference from Cambodia, and that it's time for stronger diplomatic action.
The government say nothing. What kind of a country we have become to succumb to this kind of abuse by a dictator?
Former student David Chan, as we're calling him, Eleanor Whitehead with our report. And the Cambodian Prime Minister's son, Hun Manet, and Cambodia's ambassador to Australia, Khoi Kwong, did not respond to PM's requests for comment on their alleged roles in the recruitment campaign. A Cambodian People's Party spokesman declined to comment.